In the grand tapestry of life, where every thread weaves a unique story, there lies a bond between man and machine, profound and unyielding. This is the tale of Prithvi Ray, a visionary not just propelled by passion but steering it with the finesse of a maestro. What you're about to witness is not merely a car, it is a saga of love, dreams, and relentless ambition. The Octavia VRS. More than a mere vehicle, it is a testament to Prithvi's unbridled passion for automotive excellence. Each modification on this masterpiece tells a story, a narrative of endless nights spent in the garage, of hands that worked tirelessly, channeling dreams into reality. As the camera tenderly captures the bold lines and intricate details of the VRS, know that every inch has been touched by Prithvi's dedication. This car is not just a marvel of engineering, it is a canvas where he has painted his aspirations, a reflection of his journey in the realm of speed and beyond. When Prithvi takes the wheel, it's more than a drive, it's a dance of man and machine, a symphony of roaring engines and heartbeats, syncing in perfect harmony. This is where he finds his truest expression in the exhilarating embrace of speed on roads that stretch like ribbons through the chapters of his life.
So the transition from VAG to when JDM to VAG was availability. India doesn't have good JDM cars, tuner cars. They didn't have any. I mean, there was no car available in India when I came in around 2009-10 in JDM scene, which you could slap a turbo, cheap, cost-effective turbo, get enough chassis mods for it, and put it on a track and make good time.
Right.
The only cars that had turbos in India that back then were one was Korean, that 1.5 turbo in the Accent Tornado, and the VAGs.
Correct.
Just out sheer unavailability of JDM cars that I got into VAG cars. I went to buy. I was still hesitant towards buying the VAG car because at that time the Skoda Octavia, the first generation, was on sale, and the Ford Fiesta S was on sale.
Okay.
I drove the Fiesta S. I fell in love with it. I drove the Octavia.
I had one.
Yeah,
I had one. Yeah.
And I absolutely fell in love with it. But unfortunately, it so happened that by the time I gotten enough money aside to buy either of these two cars, both cars were out of production in India. 2010 when this 910 is when the Laura came in, Octavia stopped, Octavia stopped, and 910 is also when the Fiesta S stopped, and they'd gotten the funny Fiesta.
Yes.
So the only option was a Laura. I drove it like, it's nice. It's a turbo car. It's quick enough. And that was fine. Let's see what it can do. And that time that's where the larger community comes. Then I called out each of my friends like, bro, I'm getting something which is based on a Golf GTI. Ew. That's the first reaction I got. Ew. I'm like, okay, shut up. Tell me what I can do to it. He's like, let me make you speak to a couple of friends who are in the tuning scene there. So they introduced me to this portal called VW Vortex, which is the VW's equivalent of...
This is when you got in touch with Arush, is it?
No, this is way before Arush.
Okay.
Yeah. So once I had to understand the platform.
Right.
It's a turbo car, right?
Yeah.
So is the i20N line. But how many of them are actually lasting?
Yeah.
They're not lasting. You put a stage one map on that, turbo blows up. You have to understand the potential of an engine before you start modifying it.
Correct.
You can't afford to buy new engines every 2 days.
It'll cost you an arm and a leg.
Yeah. So I spoke to them. They reached out to me. They helped me out. They really gave me a lot of information on what this platform could do, what the downsides are, how to go about it. So that's when I used to work in Wipro, and right opposite Wipro's office was Arush's garage, Autofine.
Right.
And I used to see very fancy cars coming in. And I went there like.
It's the mic.
Yeah. Once I gone to him for a detailing job. I had gotten the black Laura TSI and did detail kartu se.
You can't even imagine Arush focusing on detailing.
That time the craze had gone. The initial craze of car tuning had gone away completely.
Yeah.
So, and then I asked him, who are you? Can you guys get some parts for this guy? Like, batao kya part ki? So I told him I need a Bilstein B14 coilover kit. Like, wo kya hota hai?
Are you serious?
Yeah. Because see, that time everybody was putting lowering springs and shocks. Nobody had heard of coilovers in India.
Absolutely.
And I had used coilovers only in the US. So that's the best way to set up a car.
Correct.
So fine, let me talk to Pete. That time Pete was also coming up.
Yeah.
So Pete se baat hua, I got I met Pete's. Then Pete's like, yeah, we are doing some tunes on these cars. We have a partner in the UK. Why don't you and Arush come down to Kerala and spend a weekend with us? You drive our cars and tell me what your feedback is. So me and Arush went there. And we went there, we drove the Pete's had just done one stage 2 car and one stage 3 car. And we drove both the cars like, wow, this is good. But it could be better. So then Pete, I sat down with Pete and I see, you can buy a coilover, put it on your car, but if you don't set it up, if you don't maximize it, then there's no point. You know, coilovers are, most people think of it as lowering the car, it's a better handling suspension, right?
Correct.
But the beauty of coilovers is it can help you adjust your weight balance of the car. Right? That's where the coilovers come in over a lowering spring and a shock. I can adjust the car's weight as much forward as the coilover allows and the chassis allows.
Correct.
So if your car, this car like comes with about, what is it, 40, 56, 57 or I think 60, 40 ka balance hoता है. Coilovers, because I am adjusting the height and increasing the load on each side, I can actually pinpoint how much load I'm going on every tire.
Right.
And then do a cross balance. So my car handles more neutrally.
Understood.
So I said I went to Peter and like this is my job. This is something I learned after that Miata. That I know how to set up a chassis.
Okay.
So like he's like, how are you gonna do it? I'm like, do you have weighing scales? So like, weighing scales. Peace that time was into construction also. The primary reason was construction. So he got 4 big weighing scale, industrial weighing scale, he put it on 4 corners, and started wrenching, adjusting. Finally got that car to about, I think 55-45 is about the best I could get that Laura.
Okay.
The Laura at that time was nose heavy. It was a very strong nose and the intercooler was in front, so it was very nose heavy. And then I said, now you drive it. He came and and Peter was a very subtle, very restrained person, a very happy guy. Very subtle. Him coming back and like, fuck. I'm like, yeah, see, that's exactly what I mean. So that,
oh my God.
So that's how the story started building up.
You actually worked on your car yourself then practically.
See, that we had no option in the US. We were starting out in our careers. US mechanical field, the cost is very high. Labor cost is very high. We learned how to work on our own cars.
Of course.
That's again the community helps you.
I also feel that right now in India, I mean, the whole culture of tuning, it's still developing. It's getting better, I feel. But again, there are so many people who still think that यार चलो गाड़ी है, सिर्फ coilover लगा दो, उससे काम हो जाएगा.
देखो, you see, it depends on how deep you want to go. This is the ocean as deep as the Mariana Trench, right? If you want to go deep, you can go deep. Fortunately, in India, there are so many options. There are so many decent tuners out here. I won't say tuners. I would say integrators. They don't tune the car; they integrate. There are very few tuners who are actually sitting on a dyno and adjusting the file.
Correct.
So, depending on how deep you want to go, there are a lot of options right now.
Yeah.
You want to just buy a sports car and just give it to a tuner and say, I want this much horsepower? Tez kar do gaadi. Done. You want to go to tuner and think, I want to improve the suspension of the car, thoda handling बढ़ा दो. Done. You want to go to a tuner, you can say, I want to work on my car, I want you to help me. Available. So that it all depends on how much time you have, how much time you want to invest into it.
Yeah.
And what you want to get out of it.
And I think you pulled out the maximum juice that you could pull out of your Laura because of the fact that you got into it, got into the entire depth of it.
It's important, right? At least that's how, because I'm an engineer, I like to know how everything works. It's chule. It's inane curiosity.
Right.
That I need to know how everything works. And this has been there since I was a child. I used to take apart my parents' radios, like those transistors, take them apart, clocks, take them apart. And I kept on taking them apart. And that's when I guess my parents also helped a little bit. That they never scolded me for taking them apart. They always told me that, bhai, tu khol to raha hai. जोड़ना भी सीख जा please. बहुत महंगा पड़ रहा है. So after a while, I started actually being able to put it back together.
I like the way you said, please, यार जोड़ना भी सीख ले.
So I mean, I could take apart a transistor when I was like 7-8 years old fully and put it back together. Until 6 I was damaging transistors, and after 6 I think something switched in me that अच्छा वापस ही जोड़ना पड़ेगा. So I started learning. So that has carried on to cars. I can easily go to a workshop and say, ye kar do. In fact, I do that quite often right now because I don't have the time for it because of the children.
Yeah.
But if I need to know I want to know how the thing works. I want to know how to work on it.
Hmm.
And the YouTube era and the forum era, there's so much information out there. And
Absolutely.
contrary to popular belief, these cars are actually pretty easy to work on compared to the generation before this.
Right.
Like the Laura was monumentally easy to work on
Yeah.
compared to the Octavia
Yeah.
BRS.
Yeah.
This car is even easier to work on compared to the Laura.
So do you have any future plans for this one now?
On this car, see, right now I wanted to approach this build slightly different. Laura was an all-out power build, as much fast as you can get.
So before that, what all do you have on this machine right now?
This machine, ECU map,
Okay.
running a 100 octane ECU map, 98 RON map as they call
Okay.
it, on 100 octane.
Okay.
That's pumping out about 318 horsepower and
Okay.
about 490 Nm top. give or
And
take.
intercooler is an upgraded
There's an upgraded intercooler on it. There's a couple of intake mods,
Okay.
which are using OEM parts.
Okay.
There is a coilover suspension on it. It's
D14.
No, this is the Olins.
Olins, of course.
Olins Roland track.
Olins.
Coil of one and one in India.
Okay.
I always wanted a Olins. I use Olins
It's
on the
one on one
Subaru.
in- it's the only one in India right now.
Nobody wants to spend 3 lakhs on suspension, dude. People will spend 1.5 lakhs on
Okay.
Gecko coilovers. But
Huh.
yeah, that's their choice.
Correct.
I wanted to create a machine because
Absolutely.
I have driven Olins on the Subarus and the Evos. So I know
yeah.
what they can do.
Correct.
I wanted it for the Laura, but I never had the enough spare cash back then
Right.
to, because that car was constantly breaking down. I had to put money to clutch. 3 हफ्ते में clutch खत्म हो
हाँ
जाता
हाँ
था.
वो
So
sense ही
yeah,
नहीं बनता
so
उसका. Correct.
this car I was like Olins. I
And
got
it's a stock turbo, is it?
stock turbo. Stock turbo. I got a stock downpipe. The
Okay.
exhaust is a kind of a mix and match. Again, Arush's brilliant idea because these cars don't sound good. So we're like, who's going to spend 3 lakh on an Acropo vehicle or one of those fancy exhausts?
Right.
We're like, let's make it completely muffler free.
Acha.
So we got the exhaust for Laura, for Octavia TDI.
Okay.
TDI don't need mufflers.
Okay.
They don't make sound.
Right.
The DPS are good enough. So we got a TDI ka entire exhaust system for the car.
My God.
And then we said, let's see how it sounds. Very decent. These
But
cars don't.
then that doesn't hamper the performance at all.
No. It's opening the exhaust. Right? Any engine is an air pump.
Correct.
Any,
Basically, you've just
any
gotten rid of the-
back pressure.
Understood.
I mean, I want to keep the cat on it because
हाँ.
D-cat में बहुत पंगे हो रहे हैं आजकल.
Correct.
But we opened up the exhaust completely and we said this little what do you call droney. So we added a Bola resonator in it. Done.
Perfect.
Exhaust done. Then I was like, this chassis is horrible.
Okay.
And everybody was wah-wahing this chassis. I was like,
Okay.
no, this chassis is horrible because
Okay.
I lost this car, almost lost the career end of this car on that Faridabad expressway.
my God.
When the stock car, it's really tail happy. Especially
see.
this one because this one has a wider track
Yeah.
than the Octavia VRS, the previous the 230. So it's very tail happy, and
Okay.
because it's a hatchback design and a long wheelbase hatchback design, the chassis flex is way too much.
So tail happy as in the tail was constantly kicking out.
It's kicking out, and it's unpredictably kicking out. So
That's
then
scary. That's scary.
we-
With this kind of a power output,
Yeah.
I mean, that's very scary.
it's very scary, and I was like, wow, this is really unsettling. So I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
That time, Racing Line was the only guys who make a brace for these cars, chassis
Okay.
brace, but that was for the Golf.
Okay.
It was not supposed to fit the Octavia.
Oh.
Arush had one in stock because he wanted to try it out. He never
Yeah.
tried it out.
Yeah.
I called up Arush and I'm like, bhai, you have still have the Racing Line brace? I'm like, yeah. Let's try it out. Let's put it on the car. I'm like, pata nahi lega. So we literally took the entire rear of the car apart trying to find, because the chassis is the same as the Golf.
Right.
So the mounting point that the Racing Line gets onto would also be there in this car.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it was there.
And it,
the
it
first
got
its
onto it.
first car in
Oh, wow.
was first Skoda of the generation with a Racing Line chassis brace on it, carbon
Brilliant.
fiber chassis brace.
Wow.
Then I said, fine, let's try to fix the chassis even more. So it's got a front subframe brace which is connecting the front control arm mounts to the subframe, making more rigid.
Okay.
It is to the rear Y brace which is connecting the rear control arm, rear trailing arm mounts to
Okay.
the center chassis to
Okay.
the other trailing arm mounts.
Okay.
It has got a rear
Fantastic.
subframe brace which is basically ensuring the subframe stays rigid in cornering.
Correct.
So this car is purely braced from the bottom. You can't see anything on top.
So now the car is not tail happy at all.
Not at all. It's stuck to the ground.
Brilliant.
And there's a lot of aero parts. That's one thing I really,
Of course.
really invested in. Because Volkswagen is very, because of European fuel
Yeah.
efficient regulations, they've done a lot of aero upgrades.
Yeah.
We just don't give on this sportier version of the car because nobody in the sportier version looking for fuel economy.
Correct.
But they make a lot of it.
Kar diya. And just one last question I'll ask. After this, what do you have in mind? What is that one crazy project that you're planning to do or wish to do?
See, right now the cars have become so obtusely expensive. There's no
I
problem.
second that.
I mean, it's become unreasonably expensive. And to buy a base car and then mod it. Now, the base car itself is coming 50 lakhs.
It pinches.
Yeah. So right now, this is the project that I'm very happy with. I eventually want to get M2 because I really like the car.
Okay.
The new one.
Uh-huh.
I prefer the old one because DCT is better.
Huh.
But the new one with the manual, I've driven one. It's nice. It's good. And it's a phenomenal car.
Huh.
I think that is still 1 crore. So
That's a lot of money.
So that's a lot of money. And no, it's two minds. I'm hopefully the exchange will get a little better and the cars will become cheaper.
And
Then
you're not planning to go any crazier with this one.
this car is already pretty crazy. You haven't. You just trust me. Drive it, sit in it.
We'll go for a spin right
You'll
now.
see how crazy it is.
Huh.
Like I said, no, Laura with 380 horsepower, 229. This car with 317 horsepower, 226. And that's a conservative lap
Huh.
because my tires are getting old.
Huh. Correct.
This car eventually I'll put a big turbo on it, but there's so much ancillaries I have to put for it.
You'll have. Correct.
Big
That's
turbo,
true.
3 lakh rupee expense. Oil cooler, 1.5 2 lakh rupee expense. Bigger radiator, gearbox cooler. And then brakes.
Yeah.
So that's
It's a lot of money.
it's almost 6 lakh rupee has to go into the car
True.
before we can do it.
Very true.
And honestly, it's not worth it right now. Maybe if I can get somebody to bring the parts from me from abroad, the duties have gone up, so it's gotten very expensive.
Correct.
It's dollar per horsepower. You got to say it.
You have to.
Yeah, and if you want to do like on the Laura, my goal with any car that I built is always that it has to stop faster than it accelerates. Laura
Which
had
is
India.
why they say that it was always stopping that killed people.
Yeah. So the Laura had India's only 10-piston brake calipers,
Huh.
and that also by accident. My friend got it for his TT. Didn't fit
Okay.
his car with wrong generation. I got it from him. This is steel. He gave it to me out of steel.
Okay.
So 10-piston brakes on a car is unheard of even in the sports car community. Even Porsche don't have it.
My God.
That's because I wanted to stop. I wanted to stop repeatedly.
Yeah.
This
Fair
car,
enough.
although the brakes are really good, something similar eventually.
हाँ, but वही वाली चीज़ है ना, stock it comes for a certain reason. It's
Yeah,
stock.
it is
and-
good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're doing something really for the last 10th of the of timing you're looking for track, this is good enough. Stock brakes.
But
Up
do you
to-
think like if you put like extremely powerful brakes on something like this, do you think the underpinnings, the bushings and everything will be able to handle it? That kind of
you change
G-force?
it. You change it.
Everything changes.
Laura was fully on poly bushings, everything.
I
The
see.
entire front was
Not
on
as
poly
much.
bushing. Yeah, engine mount was poly bushing. You have to reinforce. Like I say, no. You do one thing, you understand how. That's why understanding how things interact within a car.
Yeah.
The suspension interacts with the brakes interact with the engine, how the chassis interacts with the engine. All that knowledge is necessary. Because you go to a tuner, he will not do it. You have to specifically ask for it, and they may or may not know.
True.
So, because I have done so much research into the platform, because I've spoken to so many people, I've read through so many articles on the proper race car, the DTN race car that they build out of these cars,
Yeah.
I have some fair good idea as to how things will interact if I install big brakes, what all other ancillary stuff I have to put in for it to support it and make it reliable.
Correct.
Because you're right, the bushing will go.
It will.
That's why this car has the metal top mounts,
Oh wow.
solid top mounts.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Everything is preparing for that. There's a goal in mind. I actually have a build list for it, in which I've identified all the parts that I want to put on the car, taking them off on my own. And that build list is public. I've shared it with people. It's because you have to share.
Absolutely.
I learned because people were kind enough and happy enough to share with me.
Absolutely.
Share their enthusiasm, share their knowledge, share their experience.
Yeah.
And if I can give even 1% of that back to the community,
Why not? I mean, it works. So I think it's time to go for a drive now. Chalte.
Chalo.